Hmm? Ah! Hmm. Welcome to the show. My name is Alex.
And I just whatever.
Yeah, she's Lizzie, and today we have one of the most controversial people in From. We've got Father Khatri. Shaun, how the hell are you?
How are you, my children?
And, well, he's got a lot to answer for. I'm telling you.
So
And
I'm still pissed at you for getting killed.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, there was another famous person in human history who gave himself up for others. And I think we know who that is.
Yes.
Jesus Christo.
Yes.
And I don't normally compare myself to a Messiah, but
yeah.
Sometimes you got to take one for the team.
Oh my gosh.
I know.
I loved it because I did not see it coming. And that was what made it so awesome. I mean, I know it was foreshadowed because, you were talking about your story and that sort of thing. But I'm able to suspend that kind of stuff while I'm watching. And I just don't think about it. I just enjoy what's happening. And I just was devastated. I wore black for like 10 seconds.
Good. Yeah, we all did. A lot of people, even in the scripts, there was so much. I didn't know that was going to happen leading up to it. It wasn't like they sat me down in the beginning of the season and said that. That came later. As I know, you've talked to a lot of the cast and many of the cast, nobody knew what was coming about anything. Only what the characters know. And I thought that was it's definitely a good thing for the show,
Well, the thing about your character that's so kind of fascinating is he's very faceted. And the episode book 74, you go into a lot about your backstory with the chocolate bar and Sarah. What was I guess it's a Father Khatri question. What was his mindset? Does he feel like he could have ever gotten redemption in your eyes?
It was definitely his goal as a human being. The guilt that he carried from that experience, and the inner conflict was so intense because, it's that old thing. It's like you're protecting the life of an innocent, but yet the rage that was accessed that he didn't know he had in him is one of those human qualities I think a lot of people have experienced in their lives, where whether it's rage or it's a personality trait or something that comes out where you never thought you had it in you, and then this happens. And as a man of God and as a person who was trying to find his way, this was his biggest burden. And so he was an unconventional priest in many ways too. It wasn't as clear cut as all the pageantry and all the rules. He was a Catholic priest, so very specific to all the details. I'm personally not Catholic. I had to do a bit of research and really understand what goes into that and how to study to become a priest. And it's really, really intense. So for him, this place became also a place where he could rewrite his own rules in many ways and find redemption through his connection. And, writing those books with his own hands from memory was in many ways his own repentance as well.
Yeah. I wanted to make sure we asked about what you thought, since you well, you knew in that episode you were going to die, but what do you think book 74 will mean for the show?
For me, as I was working through what it meant for Khatri, a part of me was left feeling like, because of his death, obviously, his theory wasn't coming to bear, unfortunately. As he laid there in Sheriff Boyd's arms, begging that this is not the path that I was meant to go on, which was such beautiful writing, by the way. I just,
Oh yeah.
big shout out to John, and how we spent a lot of time talking about it and talking about what that meant, and how does he go out, so yeah, a part of me believes that it was really like every individual who has their own journey, their book 74. Everybody has a book 74. Everybody has their own individual way forward. And so whether book 74 actually literally will be a part of the bigger picture, I'm not sure. I don't think so. I don't know. I really don't. This is, hypothetical. But I think everybody has their own book 74, and everybody has their own theory about why they're there and how to get out. So that's what makes it so special. There is no one answer. But everybody's looking for the clues. And I think that might be one that may play into it in the future. I don't know. But yeah, we're going to have to see.
Yeah. You're just, well, as far as we know, you're just in that one episode in the second season.
Mm-hmm.
What is your theory about what is going on with this town?
It's truly a mystery, and I'm not just saying this because I'm saying this as a fan. I mean, I love the show. I watch the show. I love watching all the theories that are put out there. There's some wild ones.
What's the wildest one that you had so far that you heard?
Well, wild in the sense that, I mean, we live in a world where you read anything online and it's insanity, like all the theories about, whether it's conspiracy theories in general. I think, any of the alien stuff I found to be really interesting, because I just think that's an easy go-to. But and maybe it is, but I don't think so. I think there's a lot of other things at play here. I'm most fascinated by the generational visits of this place. There's the hints at who was here before. It's almost like if you're a paleontologist or a geologist, and you're looking at the different layers of strata. As you dig down deeper, you see, oh my gosh, there was evidence of a massive volcano here. What happened at that time? Then everybody went extinct, and now there's another group that came, and now what? And then another group, they were killed off, then another, and all those dates on the walls.
Which they haven't really talked about yet in the second season.
No, right. And so that's interesting to me. I found that very interesting. When you look back at season 1, there's all of those hints at the Civil War. What is that about? Who are they, and why are they here? I don't have a theory about who that voice is to talk to Jim. I still don't know. On the radio at the end of season 1.
I thought it was Reed. I mean, Tom, and I thought that was my theory. But that kind of got killed away on this second episode.
Right, but I think I saw a post about that. I thought that was an interesting choice because of his very cynical approach to the place. But maybe there was something that he was hiding in his cynicism, but he knew more than he actually. I mean, he's a bartender, so bartender always, always knows everything. But as we will find out, I'm sure. I mean, the great thing about it is that I love it. The thing I really love about the show is that, yes, it begs more questions, and I know audience members want more answers, but the engine for the show is the fact that it's, as I said in my sermon, there was that whole sermon I gave about it's the search. I can't remember it all now. It was a while ago, but it's about the search, and the chaos is the salvation. It's almost like the chaos is the purpose, and I love that. That again, an amazing piece of writing, because it made a lot of sense. It makes a lot of sense, and especially with that place. And how do you maintain sanity in that place? You continue to search for answers, but the search is actually becomes your purpose. And I think that's really, really relevant to a lot of society. And I think that's what's beautiful about this show.
Yeah. I one of the funny ones that we've heard, one of the funny theories, and Alex mentioned it yesterday, is that Mrs. Lou is putting something in the tea.
Oh yeah, she's the total.
Drugging everybody.
Yeah.
But
have you interviewed Liz?
Several times, and she's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. She really does. She gets everybody stoned on mushrooms on set all the time. By the way, this is Liz now. This isn't Mrs. Lou. This is Liz.
Liz Moy.
Chen. Yeah. She has some special herbs, and they make everybody very happy. No, that would be amazing, though.
Well, I mean, it would make a lot of sense because Jade, has never been so calm.
Yes,
I know. Very relaxed this season.
Yeah,
playing the violin, stealing fiddles,
Yeah.
chilling out, playing. He's very talented, that Jade.
I'm telling you, he's got a cat shirt. What else? What more do you need?
Right? No, I don't know. That's an interesting one. But the fact that some people are seeing things that others are not. That's an interesting ripple in the time space. What can I ask you guys in all the conversations and your finger on the pulse right now? What has been the most talked about? Not theory, but
there's only one thing.
Controversial bit of information that the show has revealed that people are most conflicted about. There's
only one thing. Who threw the damn rope?
It's the rope.
That. Right.
It's the rope. Like it makes me think that Martin wasn't a prisoner, but he was just put up there. Like he is the bad people or bad entity.
Yeah.
And he was put up there to interact with Boyd, and his whole purpose was to infect Boyd. Right. And that the voices, and this is just me, that the voices instructed Sarah to get him in a faraway tree. And no matter what tree she put him in, he was going to go to that location. And she had gone there before. And that's why she's got the arm squirms. So that it just seems like that's what's happening. And maybe now that Sarah may be taken out because Boyd's been infected. She's no longer useful.
She's no longer valuable. Yeah.
Yeah.
She's done her job.
We also think Victor may have arm squirms. I mean, he's always walking around with a long sleeve shirt, and Sarah wasn't, but Boyd often is.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah. Well, Boyd, he was one of my best friends before I was dusted off by that lovely waitress.
Loved it though. Loved it.
She was, by the way, she's an amazing, she's cool. The girl that actually killed me, the actor, she was amazing. And she's a journalist. She's a writer in Halifax. And she's really, really cool. I forgave her. But
did you absolve her?
I absolved her of almost all of her sins.
Well, there's always those one or two sins you just can't.
Couple, I was like, his grandfathered in. I can't do much about it. It was, Boyd, as far as I know, whether it's the Parkinson's, the trembles, the shakes, or his you call them arm squirms.
Yeah, that's just me.
Yeah, I like it. But I think that wouldn't that have been the first time that he got it? Like he didn't have any of that in season 1.
No. This was it.
This happened.
Yeah.
So speaking of, Boyd being your best friend, you've been an actor for a long time. You've been in other series before. You've been in comedy more than you have more drama. How is it going head to head with Harold? Because you don't hold back. And this last episode, you were just a dick. I mean, you were just
I can't wait. I haven't seen it. I can't wait.
You've seen it, Alex? You already watched it?
Alex, yeah. Special feeds, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, well, I mean, I have it, but we've been not watching ahead.
No, it's this week's episode that we're going to be publishing.
That's right. Yeah. No, listen. Harold is such. I mean, you've heard it already by everybody else, but a pure joy and an incredibly generous leading man. And immediately we had chemistry. We had chemistry off camera in terms of just connecting and hanging around, talking, laughing, just so funny and such a great guy. And the way the dance was written between us throughout all of season 1 was so fun, and also gave us so much to work with, in terms of there was no other than my monologue, explaining the story of what happened with me and the chocolate bar and the young boy and father. Most of it was dead in the eyes, and I mean looking each other dead in the eyes and really connecting and sparring. And so when that happens, when you get writing like that, it activates something. It activates a part of the brain that forces you to connect, and you play, and you can play within the structure of what was written. And we did that a lot. And I think that, obviously the experience that I've had working in both comedy and drama, and also his experience as well, just our levels rose up, and we were able to dance with each other. And it was so much fun. Every scene we did, every chance we worked together, there was always, great stuff coming from it.
So given that this appears to be a very carefully constructed story, how much ad-libbing can you do in situations like that? Because I've got to imagine that the dialogue is written specifically to eventually lead us to what's going on.
Yeah.
And if you don't know, you could change something crucial.
Yeah. This is one of those shows. I've worked on other shows where some play is encouraged. I worked on a show called Detroit 187, where we would do a bunch of takes and have it in the bag. And if something came to us and we could play with, a sparkly moment, then go there, and we found some things. But not much. It was a drama, but there was humor in it. And then there was another show called The Firm that I did that it was exactly word for word. And if you veered from it, it was big trouble. Like, it was intense, right?
Wow.
Yeah. But it all starts with the showrunner all the way down. So, and in this case, John, we would do anything loose would be off camera to discover something. If there was a line or something that we felt like, this isn't working, or what about this? Or maybe I would say this to them. We would all discuss that off camera. And once we would go to camera, it was word for word. But by then it was so ingrained in our motives and in who we are and what we were intending to do, what we were trying to get. It just, it helped very much the show. It helped very much the scenes. But but John was good that way. He was like open and generous and collaborative. But not everybody is at all times.
Can I ask a question about the firm? Because you worked with two of my favorite people, and they don't seem like they're on script type people, meaning Josh and the other one that's in Yellow Jackets.
Yeah.
Were they off script a lot? I mean, obviously they wouldn't be, but I mean, was it hard when you're an off script? I mean, you're a comedian, so being off script is kind of what you do.
You find. Listen, I there's something to be said about relationships between people and being able to live inside that moment. And if something happens spontaneously, as a writer or director, you want to allow that to happen sometimes. But in this case with the firm, Josh Lucas, who is an incredible actor, again, it was similar in the way we approached the script, where there were lots of times where Josh or Juliet or any of the other actors said, like, this doesn't make sense, or I don't feel comfortable with this. What do you think? And it was always shut down. It was like, nope. It was very, 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 very much not collaborative. It was like, this is the words, say it, and that's it. And so that became frustrating for those guys and for us, for everybody on the set. But but it's not like that. It's a little more collaborative on this show. And 187 was similar as well. By the way, it's just so funny. It's, in the United States, I've been able to fool a lot of people into thinking that I'm a decent actor because I do more drama in America and I do more comedy in Canada, which I find really kind of funny. But yeah, no.
Well, you know what? It's a great. You're doing a great job of fooling us because we love it. And I have a running joke with my good friend who actually lives in Quebec, that you guys are just doing this to take us over with Zamboni technology from Canadian Bacon. So I mean, as long as you can, it's going to happen. I mean, it's the greatest. It's the greatest little thing. And Mrs. Lou is going to just do all the tea, and we're just not going to know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
That's the theory, folks. We solved it.
It actually is actually a metaphor for that. The town is actually Canada, and that is the bleak future for Americans who are going to flee to Canada when global warming drowns the United States in water from the ocean, and everybody moves up there where it's now tropical and amazing, but then you're never leaving.
Exactly.
Yeah, stuck there.
Yeah, no, it's good. It's going to be it's a bleak future. But Canada's going to be warm and fuzzy, and everybody's going to be high on psilocybin. It's going to be great. No, I'm
perfect.
No, it's fun. These shows are so fun. I mean, what's been the response from the viewers? From, as you can see, like, what's happening to the minds of everybody? Is there a sense of frustration? Do people want more? Are people like diving deeper into the theories? How has season 2 been received versus season 1?
Extremely well. Extremely well. And it just seems like with every passing quite literal minute, someone is putting forth a new idea. Yeah. And you're like, oh my gosh, that's it. That's the grail. Let's follow that one. And then someone comes up with something else, and you go chasing after that, and then Mrs. Wu with the tea, and you're just like, you know what? Put all of those away. That's really what it is.
I will say, I mean, we put our stuff on YouTube, and now that season 2 has come up, I think more people have said to us, "Oh, I just binged season 1. I'm like looking at season 2." They make it a hard title, and they put it on a station that wasn't easy to find. And I think it was more mainstream. I think the other thing that people are, hesitant about is because it's similar to Lost, and there's so many questions.
I hear the comment coming.
I don't care. I'm just saying, people are like, is it going to have no end? Is it going to be the same type ending? And you know what? It's a different show. And that's my point. It's a different show. And
it's a different show, and it's a different creator. It's not, there are, from the team that brought you Lost, But John Griffin is not of the lost. He's not of the lost world. He is an independent writer who formed a partnership with, the guys at Midnight Radio. And so what we're seeing is this hybrid, and it's quite good, because I believe that Lost, if they had any lessons that they had to learn, which I didn't follow it all the way to the end, for no reason. I don't judge the show one way or the other, but I've heard people were so angry at the end. So people are also now using that as they're like, this show better have a completion. And from what John has always said, he said there is a method to the madness. Not one detail. There's not one detail in the show that does not have a purpose. Everything is there for a reason. And that's right from the creator's mouth. Okay. So just so everybody knows, I can't say, because I don't know. I have no idea. But I am curious how people will feel when I have another conversation with Boyd. I'm curious what you guys think Khatri's future will be. What is the journey? Why is Khatri even appearing? Is it real? Is he a figment? Is it the tea talking?
Yeah.
Well, no, to your point, is it Boyd's interpretation of Shaun, of Father Khatri, versus his spirit, his real spirit? Because that conversation, you just laid it out. I mean, it wasn't
Khatri-esque. It was
a hard knocks kind of thing. Like you were talking to your son.
Yeah. And I'd already, my thought about God and my thought about the book 74 kind of went to shit. So what do I got to lose? God, what are you gonna do? Fire me? You know what I mean? Like there's kind of like that attitude. But again, such good writing. And the director, I forget her name now. And apologies if she's watching. She was amazing. She was such a good director. That's something that a lot of people don't realize either. I think they don't get talked about a lot. The directors per episode really do. They have a big impact on how the energy is on set and how we perform. And so even though they're there to do a job driven by the big bosses, led by Jack Bender, who is amazing, every director gives a different vibe and a different feel. Not saying that the show has different vibe and different feel each episode, but the way things come to it, some directors do a lot of takes. Some directors are so laid back and they're just like, whatevs, we got it. It's amazing. If you want to do another one, you do another one. So, kudos to the directors, to every one of them that's been a part, especially Jack Bender.
One of the things also that they talked about, the fans, and I mean, it's been brought up, which I find fascinating. The church looks like it's the church in the cellar look like they're the oldest buildings in the place.
The world.
That's right.
And we're talking significantly older.
Significantly,
like
we're talking
in Italy.
Turn of the century, and that like turn of the 1700s, 1800s. Like it's definitely got that
early
that
American
look to it and that feel. And the cellar, it's all stone. It's very, very old. So who built that?
Exactly.
Where did that come from?
And why would anybody go down in a basement in this place? Because nothing ever good happens. It seems like, I mean, it's like when Kenny went down there and found Sarah. I'm like, dude, don't go down. Just stop.
You just knew it. And I was having flashbacks, because I believe it was the beginning of book 74. It was the one before. I think it was episode 6 or 7 in season 1, where after I gave my sermon and I spoke with Catalina's character, and then I went down and had the conversation with Sarah after Sarah had knifed her brother. That seeing him go down those stairs, I was like, oh wow, This is
Yeah.
And I knew what was coming because I'd read the script. But would it be? I mean, that's Sarah in the basement. There's got to be a drinking game. Like, let's have a drinking game. Every time Sarah dimly shows up in the basement,
Yeah.
drink.
Yeah.
She's
I'm with
something.
you. I'll get my potato vodka right now.
Yeah.
When different directors are coming in for different episodes, and they all have their different working styles, you would think that, it might not be a seamless story because they're each putting their touch on each episode.
Yeah.
And you really can't tell from one episode to the next. Like, there's some shows out there where you can definitely see, oh yeah, you know what, this one felt completely different from every other episode that we've seen. But whatever they're doing, they're fitting right in, and they're carrying on this story meticulously. And I've been thinking that everything that we see and everything that we hear matters.
Everything.
And I have to put it out of my head because I can't handle all of that. There's so much.
It's so much. It's so much. And, what does it do? It forces viewers leaning forward in their chair and really paying attention to everything that's there, and then watching it again and going back and pre-framing and looking at the walls and looking deeper into the story and then analyzing it. And that just, that's the magic of storytelling. Good storytelling, begs more questions. So it's good. It's very, very well done from the part of, our creators, to create people who create. See, I was trying to be Khatri there. I realized when I said our creators. I realized. So anyway, you know what I mean? Like, I think it's great. And so the directors know they're there to service this story, and from the top down, like, this has got to be done this way.
Right.
But in terms of the interpersonal relationships that we have with the directors, how it allows our process to be a little more tight or sparkly or fun or not fun or deadly serious, or rushed or relaxed, all these things, that's just another kind of like peek behind the curtain as to what our experience is like on set. And that's for any scripted television show, I would say.
Right.
Every director may or may not. Like, I remember working on a show, and this one director came in, and he was high as a kite. He was blazing the whole week and over budget. Dude, there is that. I know it's cliche, but he took forever. Some beautiful work. It just took forever. And the producers were like, what the? Oh my God, how are we gonna,
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. There was one.
Oh, I'm sorry, Lizzie. Please go.
I was just going to say, there was one show that I was working on, and I've never, ever seen a director take as many shots, basically just moving the camera a foot. And I'm like,
did you watch it?
I never watched the episode, no, but this was what I was watching this person do. And I'm like, this doesn't make any sense. I've never seen anyone do that before or since.
Well, was there a method to his madness, or her madness?
I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. It made me wonder. I mean, there had to have been a method, but it doesn't mean that it's a good working method.
That's right. A lot of times, that's the thing. It's like when you got a money person chirping over your shoulder going, dude, we got to get this shot. If we do not get this shot, we're $100,000 in the hole just from this one shot. So all of these things matter, So, but kudos to those directors, man. Once you figure it out and you get into a rhythm, you're there to deliver.
Do you think Father Khatri will be? I know you would hope it because of the work, but it feels like he could be a regular voice of something for Boyd. And I don't want to say voice of reason, but voice of something. I think that like
his conscience.
He's got too much history.
Yeah.
And they laid the foundation for it. Is that something that you think could happen?
Yeah, I mean, it would make sense in terms of what his purpose is. You know, what is Khatri's purpose? Khatri was always, throughout season 1, Boyd's North Star, had been prior to all these other people showing up, when it was just Boyd, before the talismans were discovered. So we have a very deep history and a trust that is there, and a friendship. And so in episode 4, I guess it is, right? 4, is it 4 where Khatri appears? Whether he appears as a vision, I don't know. We don't know. I leave it up to your amazing followers and our fans, our family. But you know, it would make sense that where do you go when you're not sure? You go to not only your friend, but in this case, you know, the archetype that is a fatherly, you know, figure, a priest, to ask questions or to be confronted with something, as in the case in this episode, which I think was really, really great, because the whole, you know, should Kenny or not, you know, what should he do about Kenny, I think is a very valid question. And it's a torturous one for Boyd, you know?
Yeah.
So poor little sweet Kenny's already tore up.
That guy can't get a break.
His little crush, you know, is not available. And, you know, now he's got to deal with this, the news that, you know, about Boyd and his involvement with his father's death. It's going to be, you know, about Sarah. So that's going to be devastating for him too. So what do you want to do, Boyd? I really love that question to Boyd. And for the show in general, like, what do you do? What would you do? You know?
I don't know.
You said something just now that a question we've been asking a lot of the actors, and I know you've been active with the Frumley. So what is Frumley mean to you, and in terms of an actor as well as, you know, the bigger picture?
Well, what I love, you know, it all started with just us, you know, working together as a cast, which, by the way, it's so rare to be working with actors who are normal human beings that get along, that really are positive and enjoy the work and are just there. And we would have parties and like gatherings, dinner parties and stuff like that, where we would hang out. And we never talked about work, never talked about anything to do with Hollywood, with acting. We would enjoy we would get to know each other. We became a family. We became a family, if you will. And, you know, even though Khatri ate it in season 1, even still, like, we all still stay in touch. And if we're near each other, we're going to hang out. And so a friendship happened on set. It was funny because my wife Shelby came to Halifax while we were shooting. We live in LA, and she was an actor. She acted before she was now an incredible mom. By the way, the best mom on the planet.
You better say that.
No, you know what? I watch the pictures and I get that sense. I really do, that you honor her.
She's amazing. She is truly amazing. She came, so she used to be, she was an actor. You know what? Go look up, and she's going to hate me for saying this.
We're going to put it in the show notes.
She's so talented, by the way. She was an incredible actor, and just, you know, she worked a lot, and then all of a sudden, you know, Hollywood is garbage at times. And she just kind of was like, no, I don't want to, it's too stressful. I don't like it. I'm not a happy person. So she, you know, chilled out on that. But she was in Geely, one of the worst movies of all time. Yeah. And she loves when I bring that up to people. That's not a knock on her. It's a knock on the movie. Yeah. But she was the Australian girl at the very end. So anyway, she came to Halifax, And we were all hanging out, and she was blown away by the normalcy of all these people and the coolness and the kindness and the non-ego and how great everybody was. Truly, 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 I think an anomaly when you get that many cast members together. And I've met a few of the new cast members, all the same vibes right away. You know, the new ones that came in on the bus.
Yeah.
So it's cool. Maybe it's a Canadian thing. Maybe it's our lure. Maybe it's our elixir that we're using to woo all the Americans to say.
Yeah, she was actually one of my favorite movies, The Guardian, that one that was up in Alaska. Oh, yeah, I love that movie.
That was fun.
It's such a great, it's such a great movie.
She said, by the way, she said Kevin Costner was super cool and super chill.
Oh, great.
He was high. He was stoned a lot of times, but he was so great. And so was Ashton Kutcher. She said everybody was great.
So I do want to talk to you about your comedy for 1 second, because I know you have a tour that you and I'm hoping that you'll actually come to the New York, New Jersey area, because I'd love to be able to see you. How did that come all about? And, you know, what was that? How did you get that all together?
Well, you know, I have been doing multi-pronged things my whole life, my whole career. I've always done a bit of everything. And stand-up was one of those early things that, you know, even in high school, I tried, and it was terrible. It was the worst thing I've ever done. And I'll never forget it. I actually just did a talk for teachers in Canada recently. They wanted me to come and talk about being a class clown. And the story I tell is that one of the first teachers to ever encourage me to get up on stage and try it was my teacher, Miss Hyman. True name. Her real name is Mrs. Hyman. And she told me, she said, you know what? You got to do it. You got to get on stage and you got to try it out. You know, I think you have a great sense of humor. You love performing. I was already doing theater and stuff since 8th grade. But she was like, you should try stand-up comedy. I was like, I don't know. It's really hard. And she's like, well, you got to do it. Follow your dreams. It's inspirational. She was an English teacher. Passionate. I was like, yes, I'm going to do it. Talent contest to Friday night, 5:30 in the cafeteria. There was maybe 20 people showed up in this giant cafeteria. So it was empty. And some people were lip syncing. Some people were doing hair band stuff. And I was going to try stand-up comedy. And I did 10 minutes. They said you could do 10 minutes. I got up on stage, and I swear to God, I started. And I remember I was doing stuff about Sesame Street. It was terrible. Anyway, but I was on stage. I was scared. I was nervous. And I looked down, and I was thinking, oh, my gosh, you know, this is very scary. But the one person that was there that encouraged me, she was right there. I could see her in the corner of my eye. She was right there up in the front of the stage. She came up closer. I could see her in my peripheral as I was doing terribly 2 minutes in. And I looked down, and she gives me this. She goes, wrap it up. I was like, what?
I just got up
here. What do you mean wrap it up? She's like, yeah, I get it. It's not working. We got the Michael Jackson 5, the Jackson 5 group coming up in a minute. You got to wrap it up. I was like, oh my gosh. Anyway, so stand-up I've been doing a lot over the years, and it's just another avenue and another way to work out my craft and to write and to tell stories, mostly in Canada. I haven't done lots in America, only because I've got a following up there, and now I have 2 kids. So to hustle and try to go out to, you know, Chuckles in Seattle or, you know, the Laugh Barn in, you know, somewhere in Wichita, I just don't have time to do that anymore. But I do theaters across the country. But my most recent tour, called the Love Tour, which was focused on having kids, has been really, really great. It's almost like a one-man show. And so I've been doing that, and it's been so fun. And prior to that, I did the Hate Tour, which was inspired by a lot of the things that were happening in 2016. And I worked on a political satire show called This Hour is 22 Minutes in Canada for many, many years. So, you know, it was inspired by some of the stuff that we got, that I was getting blowback for sketches that we did on that show from the white supremacists of the world. And it was great fodder for comedy.
Yeah, they keep giving you enough material. I swear, they go out of their way.
Busy.
They are busy. I mean,
hate is super trending right now.
It's it's so good for business.
Bro, so good. Love
Uh,
it. No, it's terrifying, but that show was so great to do because I mean I got to hit everything, you know, whether it be you know, Donald Trump talking about grabbing people's genitals, or you know, the neo-Nazis that are in Canada, where you'd expect all of the wonderful Canadians to be so sweet and kind. Trudeau blackface. I mean, it goes on and on and on. Everybody had something.
Now, are you a
A
Canadian
neo-Nazi?
citizen? No, are you? Yes, exactly.
I'm not. I will just
Yeah,
say.
I know you just pushed some papers. I know.
Yeah, just admit
No,
it.
are you an American, or are you still hold Canadian citizenship?
No, man, I am a full-blooded American Canadian. I have my citizenship here now, and I have both, which is beautiful about North America. And I look Mexican, so I'm gonna try to get my Mexican. I don't know if that's gonna happen. Title 42 just dropped, so you know, we'll see. I may just run to the border and try to. No, that wouldn't make sense. I gotta go the other way, right? I gotta try to seek asylum in Mexico.
You might not make it back if you go.
Yeah. Well, you know, still American free trade, NAFTA. I'm good.
You'll fit right in.
Yeah.
One other person that you did work with in your career, I'd love to just get it. One story is Cedric, the entertainer.
Oh.
And I know you worked on him for a while. You worked on that show for a while.
Yeah.
And I just love to know a little bit more about that, because I've seen the show and it was hysterical.
So funny. That's interesting because that show was showrun by the creators of In Living Color.
Okay.
And that year after that first season, the last writer's strike happened. And so that show probably would have gone on had it not been for that for the writer's strike. But that was incredible. And Cedric was a pure joy. Again, similar chemistry I felt like I had, you know, with Harold in terms of the ease and the playfulness. And I mean, Cedric, such a monster of comedy, such a presence. And for him to also be able to do all those characters and do sketch, you know, he truly was amazing. And that show was so cool because if anybody hasn't seen it, which a lot of people haven't, go look it up. It's really, really fun. It was a sketch comedy show on Fox, and you know, it was a more of a variety show. We had dancers, and you know, it was JB Smoove, myself, Amy Brissett, who's incredibly talented, who no longer she's living in New Orleans now, and she's got an awesome life there. Kyle Dunnigan was on it, and then incredible writers that were a part of that as well. So, you know, it was super fun and short, punchy, get in, get out. It was really, really great. I actually got to meet Bobby Brown. That was one of the funnest things about during the sweeps week. We had special guests come in. And Bobby Brown was sitting in his chair next to me while we were getting our makeup done. And I'll never forget it, just chewing his face off. I don't know what he had in his bloodstream, like high on something. Like he was just like, But honestly, I was in stitches the whole time because Bobby Brown is a very smart man and very, very funny. And he knew it. And this is just in the makeup room. But I just remember being like, I'm not sure because listen, I have tried ecstasy in my day. I feel like it was something like ecstasy because the way he was just like, it was very strange. But it was also, he was one of the nicest, funniest people that came and guested on that show. But that was just like a surreal moment for me as this young kid from Newfoundland, Canada, sitting there going, Bobby Brown, Bobby Brown. I think he's high and he's hilarious. I mean, it was awesome.
Yeah.
I always take moments like that and be like, I am so lucky to work in the industry that I work in, to have those moments.
I understand. I think we're coming to the end, but I just wanted to circle back to a question that you asked of us. And in regards to season 1 versus season 2.
Yeah.
So on Epix, it was a very, very quiet launch. I remember hearing something about it and thinking, I need to watch that show.
Right.
And I meant to make a note, and I never did.
Right.
And thankfully, like maybe a week or two later, I heard another mention. So I did write it down that time, and I, subscribed to Epix just so I could check it out. I never heard another word the entire time that I was watching it, and every Sunday I'm sitting there and I'm like, what am I going to do all week? Waiting for an episode to drop. And I was in this world all by myself. There was no one else watching, no one else talking about it.
No.
And I was, I watch a lot of TV and I'm plugged in with people that watch a lot of TV.
Mm-hmm.
No one was talking about it.
Mm-hmm.
And I just knew that it was so rich that it wasn't something that you could just watch in a vacuum, that it was something that had to be talked about.
That's
and
right.
people had to listen.
By design.
Yeah. And I just thought it was a horrific shame. And so I was doing a convention. I write, so I was selling my books at a convention, and Alex was there, and we knew of each other. We'd never met, and he came and we met in person, and he said, if you ever want a podcast about something, I'm your guy. And it was after that point that I had watched from, like, really not long after.
Yeah.
And when the season ended, I was just like, I have no one to talk about this with, and it's just me. And so I proposed to him, and he accepted.
And I said yes.
He said yes.
I got a really nice ring. I mean, it was so nice.
A ring on the phone. That was what he got.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Made of flesh.
It was basically, yes, especially in your show.
Yeah.
So he agreed. He hadn't heard of it, and or hadn't seen it, so he agreed to podcast with me. So he would watch one episode a week. We would talk about it. I would rewatch and do all my notes, and as would he. And we did the 10 episodes, and then by the end of talking about it, you can't just let it go,
No.
And I was worried that it wouldn't get a second season because no one was talking about it.
But
I also knew that it was so fantastic that someone is going to give this a second season.
Yeah.
And Liz Saunders was our first guest because I insisted to Alex that we do at least one podcast a month until the show comes back on.
That's great.
And we had Liz, and I was like, I know you don't see it now, but we know TV. This thing's going to be huge.
Yeah.
Huge.
Yeah.
And when they started promoting it, Epix becomes MGM Plus, they are putting gas in the tank, and it's paying off because all of these people, like, Alex and I would get like 30 to 60 downloads an episode on, when it was just us out there by ourselves, we were, and we still are the only ones that are dedicated to the show. We were the only ones podcasting about it first season. Yeah. But we still are alone. I've looked. I can't find anybody. There are people that touch it. Yeah. But, not like
the way you guys do. Right.
But, for your character to be killed off, and even Tom's character, or Reed's character, Tom, to be killed off. Yeah. Like, to me, I'm grieving that because your characters are so important to the show. And I really believe that Tom was an operative, that something happened, like maybe the fact that they built that radio, and it, that was his firing. And so he was always going to be killed. Yeah. And that's just me thinking.
Sure.
that was always, he's going to be fired. And then you have this character Elgin show up, and he's dreaming about it as they're driving into town, and he's just different.
Connected
He's different
somehow.
and
Yeah.
somehow I think that he replaces Tom, but in a different way. Where Victor is like, I don't like that guy. I don't like that guy. And the reason why I think Victor doesn't like that guy is because Elgin's going to figure out how to get them out of there. Victor doesn't want to go. I mean, that's home. Try to pull an elderly person out of the house they've lived in for 50 years.
That's right.
You can't do it.
Yeah.
They're going to die there. And that's
Victor knows this place inside out and upside down. I mean, it's his playground, if you will. He's the most senior there. Victor is the most interesting character to me right now. Yeah. And the boy in white. We haven't seen the boy in white this year.
Not yet. Yeah, not yet. It's intense. Like Alex, it's very strange as we've watched everyone, out there doing press and getting excited for the season to come, and then everything dropping, and I'm like looking on Instagram and their followers are going up. The same thing is happening with Alex and I. Like,
yeah. Oh, cool.
We're doing 3+ interviews a week. It helps that he's got a loose schedule and the writers have gone on strike. So I'm home.
Now you got,
Yeah, I've got time. So, I mean, that really helps. But even when I was working, like we were humping and pumping, getting all of these interviews, and it's very different for us, in a very happy way, like.
Well, there's the collective consciousness, the Frumley is real.
Yeah.
And people are invested and people feel connected. And I think that's really important. And that is the beauty of storytelling. Like when that happens, people gather around a show like this, then it's the nature of human beings to want to be connected and to feel empathetic for these characters. And I'm just so happy that Khatri comes back. I wasn't sure if Khatri was coming back. As an actor, you put that to rest and you go, okay, I got to move on, even though I love the show and I wanted to continue on. But I also knew there was a long shot that Khatri could come back because this is the world that this show lives in, which is anything can happen.
Yeah.
So what you're going to have to keep watching to see if Khatri returns beyond episode 4. But I don't know when people are watching this podcast, but obviously the show is out. I think episode 4 is out by now, right?
When I saw Khatri in the trailer, I was like, oh, yeah. Yeah, this is going to be good, Yeah. I want to see what's going to happen. And especially the whole question is this real? So I'm just very excited.
Yeah, I want to see what people say. Let me know how people respond, because I know what happens in the episode, and I know the conversations we have, and I know how the episode ends, and I'm be curious to hear what their theories are about Khatri's involvement.
Well, Shaun, thank you so much for your hour. I know you have a busy schedule. You're traveling all the time and everything else, and you have been so generous with giving us such behind-the-scenes stuff. And
love that.
My pleasure. I think it's cool. I love sharing that stuff because I think viewers and the Frumley and other people, it's cool, a little peek behind the curtain. I don't think people know a lot about those little nuggets,
Yeah, I love the nuggets. Love it.
Yeah.
Well, I'm a nugget factory. So if you ever need me again, just let me know.
Absolutely.
See how this season goes, and I'm available.
Well, you got it. And when you decide you want to go on tour in the Northeast, let us know, because I so want to see that wonderful tour, whichever tour you decide to do. Folks, awesome. Folks, if you like the show, and how could you not? Because we got Father Khatri, smash that like button and smash it, right? And make sure you drink the tea. And because I know Shaun's going to go talk to both Liz's about the tea. And and like I said, you can see where you could probably watching this on YouTube or on the regular podcast. But again, Shaun, thank you so much. And we are out of here.
Get
Thanks,
you home.
guys.
Let's go. Come on, get in your house. Let's go. Come on.